Trước khi bắt đầu, nếu bạn đang tìm kiếm sách để học IELTS hiệu quả, thì đây là những cuốn sách chúng mình khuyên dùng. Nó có thể giúp bạn đạt điểm IELTS từ 7.0 tới 8.0. Bạn hãy xem ở phần giỏ hàng trong kênh nhé.
Part 1. You will hear a conversation between a caller and an agent on a smart lock helpline.
Good afternoon, Smart Lock Helpline. How can I help?
Hi, my keypad will not respond at all, and I cannot get in.
Okay, I will run through a few quick checks. When you touch the keypad, does it feel very cold, almost as if it is frozen?
Yes, it actually feels frozen.
That can happen in cold weather, especially if moisture has got into the panel. Do you have any warning light showing on the lock?
Yes, there is a red light.
Thanks. And when you open the app, does it keep crashing or does it stay open but fail to connect?
It keeps crashing. It opens and then closes straight away.
Right. Those signs together usually mean the lock is struggling for power and the connection is failing. Before we look at the options, 2 tips will prevent most emergency calls. First, keep a portable power bank at home so you can give the lock temporary power if the battery drops suddenly.
Okay.
Second, write your admin code on the warranty card. Many people keep it on their phone, then change devices and lose access when they need it.
That makes sense.
Also, if you ever lend the flat to someone, do not share the admin code. Create a temporary code instead and remove it afterwards.
Right, I will do that.
Now, we deal with 3 common requests. The first is a factory reset for homeowners. We verify your identity and then I guide you through the steps. It usually takes about 15 minutes. The second is for rental hosts. We can generate a one-time access code for a guest. That code lasts 12 hours and then it expires automatically. The third is for older users who cannot change the battery themselves. In that case, we arrange a technician visit and there's no fee on weekdays.
Great. I'm the homeowner, so I think I need the factory reset.
No problem. Let's start by confirming your details.
Part 2. You will hear a talk about arrangements for a focus group and where rooms are located.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for coming. I will go over the arrangements for the focus group at the Larchfield Forum. We chose this venue for 2 main reasons. First, it has several small meeting rooms, which is important because we will be running more than one discussion at the same time. If we used a single large hall, voices would carry and the recordings would be difficult to use. Second, the building is close to most participants' workplaces, so people can get here without a long journey. That should reduce late arrivals and help us start on time. We have had some positive feedback about the plan already. In particular, people mentioned the clear signposting inside the building. Many participants have not been here before, so we will make sure the signs are large, consistent, and placed at each turning point. The other item that was praised was the comfortable chairs. That may sound like a small detail, but if someone is sitting for an hour, uncomfortable seating affects how much they contribute. We have checked the chairs in advance, and we will keep the same style in each room. Now, please look at the map. The main entrance is at the bottom, facing Market Street. Inside, the corridors run around the central courtyard. As you come in through the main entrance, the registration desk will be immediately inside on the corridor in front of you. Group A will meet in the room in the top left corner of the building, and Group B will meet in the room in the top right corner. The recording desk will be on the top corridor, roughly in the middle, so we can set up and test the equipment before the sessions begin. During the break, refreshments will be available at the cafe on the right-hand side, and the break area will be in the corridor beside the cafe. Please remind participants to keep the corridor clear, as other staff may need to pass through. We will also put a small table there for cups and information leaflets. If anyone arrives late, ask them to wait in the break area until a staff member can take them to the correct room. Mobile phones should be on silent during the discussions, as the microphones are quite sensitive. Finally, the toilets are on the left side of the building. If you turn left from the entrance and walk along the corridor, you will pass the notice board on the wall. The toilets are directly opposite the notice board, set slightly back from the corridor and clearly signposted. Right, that covers the layout. Now I will move on to the timetable for the sessions and the timing for lunch.
Bạn đang nghe podcast miễn phí tại IELTS. Nếu bạn yêu quý kênh, hãy ủng hộ chúng mình ở phần mô tả nha.
Part 3. You will hear two colleagues discussing how to check a set of transcripts.
Hi, Ethan. Have you got a minute? The client has come back with a problem. They say parts of the transcript are missing.
Missing as in short gaps or whole chunks?
Whole chunks. They say the file jumps from one speaker to another, and some comments are not there at all.
Then we need to recheck the recordings from the start. If the client is right, it could be an export issue, not just a typing mistake.
I wondered if it was accents. There were speakers from different regions, and one person spoke very fast.
Accents can cause trouble, but the biggest cause of errors is overlapping speech. When two people talk at the same time, the software guesses, and even a careful typist can miss a phrase completely.
That explains the Q&A section. People kept interrupting.
Exactly. The Q&A is where we usually lose lines.
Before we start fixing anything, I want consistency. The transcript looks like it was proofread by different people with different rules.
Then we should add one thing straight away, a shared glossary.
For names and repeated terms.
Yes, names, project titles, and technical expressions. If one person spells a term one way and another person writes it differently, the client notices. A glossary keeps it uniform and saves time.
Good. I will set that up. What about using automated tools? Some team members want to run everything through them to speed it up.
We can use them as a first pass, but I do not rely on them. They often miss key terms, especially technical words and brand names. That is the main risk.
So we can use the tools, but we still need human checking for accuracy.
Exactly. If the client is already complaining, we should be cautious and do it properly.
So what checks do we do first? We can't do everything at once.
Start with what will cause the most damage if it's wrong. First, verify speaker names. If we label speakers incorrectly, the entire document becomes confusing.
Agreed.
Second, check numbers and dates. Those are easy to get wrong and difficult to fix later. The client usually checks the figures carefully.
So speaker names, then numbers and dates.
Yes. Now, we should treat each section differently. The introduction is usually the easiest to proofread. It has fewer interruptions and fairly general language.
That makes it a good place to start and confirm our speaker labels.
Exactly.
What about the safety briefing?
That needs sensitive wording. We cannot change the meaning. If the speaker is giving official instructions, we must keep the tone and the details accurate.
Right, no rewriting to make it sound nicer.
The budget update has many numbers, so it is high risk. We need to check every figure, every date, and any percentages.
That is where a single error can cause a complaint.
Yes, so we do that early.
And the Q&A.
The Q&A has the most interruptions. People cut each other off, questions are unfinished, and overlapping speech is common. We may need to listen more than once, and if something is unclear, we should not guess.
Understood. Okay, I will create the glossary and send it to the team today.
Great. I will verify speaker names first, then I will check the numbers and dates, especially in the budget section.
Perfect. Let's send the client a corrected version as soon as we can. Part 4. You will hear a lecture about how methane leaks are detected and recorded.
Today we are going to look at methane leak detection in urban areas, and I want to focus on how engineers find leaks, how they confirm them, and how they record information so it can be used later. Methane is invisible and it has no smell, so a leak cannot be identified in the same way as a liquid spill. That is why detection depends on equipment, careful procedures, and good judgment on site. To begin with, it helps to understand where leaks often occur. In older gas networks, one frequent weak point is the metal joint where two sections of pipe connect. Over time, metal joints can deteriorate. Temperature changes cause expansion and contraction. Ground movement puts stress on the connection, and repeated pressure changes inside the pipe can slowly widen small gaps. A joint may not fail suddenly. Instead, it can start with a tiny leak that becomes more serious over months or even years. For that reason, routine inspection is essential in areas with aging infrastructure. The most common method for locating a leak is to use handheld detectors. Engineers walk along pavements and road edges, scanning close to the ground where gas might collect. The detector provides a reading that can be logged, and it allows staff to compare one point with another. However, a single reading is not enough. What engineers look for is a pattern. If the readings stay low and stable, the area is likely safe. If they rise and fall, it suggests gas is present, but the source may not be clear. When a team sees a sudden spike in readings, that usually indicates a nearby leak. Even then, the highest reading is not always directly above the damaged point. Gas can travel through cracks in the soil, follow underground channels, and emerge a short distance away from the source. Wind conditions add another layer of complexity. Wind direction affects the dispersion pattern, which means the gas may be carried away from the leak before it is detected at ground level. Two measurements taken only minutes apart can look different if the wind changes. For this reason, engineers often take readings from several points around the same location. They may walk a small loop, return to the same spot, and compare results. If the spike appears repeatedly, it strengthens the case for a leak. If it disappears completely when the wind shifts, the team may need to widen the search area. Once a likely location has been identified, engineers carry out a confirmation step. One simple method uses soap solution. When it is applied to a suspected joint or a small opening, bubbles may appear if gas is escaping. This approach is useful when the pipework is accessible and the suspected point is clear. In other cases, especially where pipes are buried deeper or where the surface is busy, confirmation may involve additional readings and careful inspection of the surroundings. The key principle is not to guess. A false diagnosis wastes time and can delay the repair of a genuine leak elsewhere. After confirmation, the next stage is planning the repair. Repairs may require temporary road closure, particularly if the pipe lies beneath a junction or a narrow street where machinery and safety barriers are needed. In some cities, teams schedule repairs outside peak hours, but that depends on local regulations and the urgency of the situation. Safety always comes first, because gas leaks can create serious hazards if they accumulate in enclosed spaces or if they are close to sources of ignition. Recording and data management are just as important as the on-site work. All measurements and repair notes are stored in a central database. This is not simply administrative paperwork. A good database allows engineers to identify repeat problems in the same area, compare failure rates between different pipe materials, and prioritize maintenance before small leaks become dangerous. It also helps with accountability, because teams can show what was measured, what was repaired, and when follow-up checks were completed. Public reporting plays a role as well. Although methane itself has no smell, the public are advised to report a strong gas smell because other gases may be present and because odorant chemicals are often added to gas supplies. Reports from residents can help teams respond quickly, especially at night or in places that are not covered by routine inspections. However, reports need to be checked carefully because smells can drift and the source may be some distance away. Finally, follow-up checks are carried out after 30 days. This time gap allows the repaired area to settle and provides a clear window for confirming that the leak has been fully sealed. If a follow-up reading shows a new spike, teams return for a second inspection. In this way, detection, confirmation, repair, and follow-up form a continuous cycle that reduces risk over time and improves the reliability of the network.
Bạn đang nghe podcast miễn phí tại IELTS. Nếu bạn yêu quý kênh, hãy ủng hộ chúng mình ở phần mô tả nha.